Are we on?
We're live.
Oh boy,
we're live and alive. Welcome to the podcast. Today is going to be intense. We were just a couple minutes ago watching some of the highlights of the games. I think it was one of the, again, really good round. I know we get 2 ties in the big matches, in the derby and in Roma Napoli, but fantastic displays. Really intense, back and forth, a lot on the line. And then, of course, controversial decisions that I think we'll get to a little bit later on. What's your big takeaway? I see you got a little smirk on your face.
No, I really enjoyed it. I mean, that Milan Inter game was it was really good game. A lot of physical. They were physical. They were going up and down. A lot of chances, especially from Inter. Also, I enjoyed the Roma Napoli game. A really good Sunday. It was a great Sunday.
Absolutely.
From the beginning to the end.
Absolutely.
Would you say it's a Super Sunday?
Super Sunday.
And we had the transfer market, which closed right now, and so many moves. I don't remember in Italy a transfer market that had this many changes. We're going to go through a little bit later on some of the moves, but then also who were the winners and who were the losers of the Mercato. And you might be surprised with one of the losers that I have, and I'm going to be very upset and have a rant against them because
Oh, good. I love that.
I think they didn't do things the right way. But we'll you will find out who they are. Mike, flip your thing.
Flip, Mike.
Yeah.
Flip your mic.
So, Anto, why don't we start with the big game, the Derby della Madonnina, which has been a weird game in the last couple of seasons, right? Inter went 6 in a row, then Milan won the last 2 under 2 different coaches, and the last one just being 3 weeks ago where you lifted the Supercoppa Italiana final. So to see how the game was going to go was interesting tactically. It falls into your favor because of the way that you could counterattack, and I think that's exactly what Conte wants to do. You exploit the spaces on the wing. So it was to perfection in the first half when you're up 1-0. Were you surprised? Were you happy? Were you scared? Did you know that the team was going to come back and concede?
Let me start from the first question. First of all, I factor up a tie before even the game started.
You're a genius.
I factored that in, and I actually was saying at the bar, Villa Bar, I said, hey, guys, today is a tie, and if we tie, it's not going to be a big disappointment, but, we wanted to win. But sure
That's
enough,
not true, but go ahead.
all right.
Which part's not true?
The tie, because I heard you talk that Inter was going to win this game. They won even before the game
Why are you
started.
lying?
So go ahead. Continue.
Why are you
He doesn't-
lying?
He doesn't know that I play minds game, this guy.
This way he's right no matter what.
So, which one is the mind game? The 1-1 or that Inter was going to win?
He lies to his therapist
Listen
also.
to me. First of all,
Yeah.
the tie is a good. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm a little disappointed, but the way the game was played and for what it was shown on the field, I think the tie is the right result for both teams.
I wish Pugh was here.
I think it was a fair result.
It was a fair result. I think AC Milan had his chances too. We are still crying. A bunch of people over here are still crying about it.
We'll
The
get to it.
ungiven
Focus,
penalty.
focus on
to
Milan.
me, it was a little soft, but I see a new AC Milan in terms of attitude and playing style.
How so?
No more possession, no more rotating the ball. A lot less time the ball goes back to Magnan, and the ball goes straight, bypassing the midfield many times. Long toss. Now, this is the reasons why I was so excited to see what we got into our...
We'll talk about
all
the
right,
transfer
so let
market.
me not say that. But AC Milan, fair and square, the tie, it's fine.
What
It's
do you
fine.
what do
We'll
you
take
see?
that.
What do you see very different? Because this game was pretty similar to the one that you won under Fonseca as well.
Well, the ball possession, it's not what our priority anymore. So right now we play with the 4-3-3, and defensively we switch to actually Leao coming into the box, slide tackling, and try to defend to defend one of those offensive. Burst that Inter had into our box. And I said, that means the Portuguese language must be working over there. Conceição, Falcao, Leao,
Falcao.
Something it's working over there.
Fonseca
La-
spoke
La-
the same
I
language.
see.
Lau said that he would die for
Well,
Conceição.
but I see him. I mean, I see Leao with a lot more determination, even on the defensive end of the game. So it's no longer, you don't have to beg him anymore. I saw him all the time coming back and just when you lose possession, you coming back and you just make it wall off the Inter counter offensive.
Don't you kind of wish that Milan could play like this every week?
So that's the issue with AC Milan. I mean, you got so much talent, but then the application on the field, it's not always there. Now, Conceição that's what he's trying to bring to this team. He's trying to bring the grinta, to fight, and like you said, Leao was coming back, and I think that with Walker, that came into the team, the guy played 100 games with the national team.
17 trophies.
I mean, he played with probably at one point the best team in the world. So he brought leadership. Even though it was his first game, I could see that during the game, he was telling the other players what to do. So it's not maybe what he needed was leadership. And this guy maybe can bring the right leadership for this team. So that's what I saw from AC Milan. From Inter, I mean, for them, a tie is a little bit tight because, they scored 3 goals, but they were...
They were not goals, they were offside.
Okay,
don't say they scored. They didn't score.
To be
They were
honest,
offside.
Milan's high line did
They
well.
are goals.
Milan's
Then
high line did well.
They hit the post 3 times. So for Inter, at the end, they score in the last couple of minutes. So the
Big
tie,
luck, big lucky.
The tie made everybody happy.
Or the opposite. Or a tie does nothing for anyone. Because it doesn't really move the needle much. I mean, I guess Napoli slipping up helps.
Yeah, now since Napoli tied, if they win another game, they could be still in first place.
You know what,
instead of
Marco?
being points
I wanted
behind.
to add
But
to
to my-
Gaetano 1 second, very quickly. I
Keep it
seen
on Milan.
DeMarco being subbed because the chances, the number of times that DeMarco crossed the ball into the box coming from the left were very limited. Thanks to who? Thanks to
DeMarco's always
Kyle
subbed.
Walker.
DeMarco's always
Kyle
subbed.
Walker limited DeMarco offensive proveness to close to nothing.
I don't know about that.
DeMarco was not a factor yesterday. It was not a factor. He got the ball here and there a couple times, but nothing. No, but can you tell me what did DeMarco?
He had a couple balls that he had was
one or
sending
two
in.
balls. Normally DeMarco is not a 1 or 2 balls
But
guy.
in a
DeMarco
derby,
is like
who does that?
On
It's a
and on
different
and on
game.
and on.
Okay,
So-
but to my first
He's a
point and my
wing-back.
first question, why can't Milan do this every week? Why? And I'm not talking about tactically. I don't care about. We've already said a million times. Milan need to play on the counter. That's where they're better. When they don't have the ball and when they get sit in, that's when you've got the best games. But my point is not that. My point is the attitude, the spirit. Why is it in this game you have it, but then in the game against Dinamo, which for me was the most important game, when you could finish in the top 8 and avoid playing an extra 2 games, why isn't that there?
They do have these concentrational lapses where there's somewhere like Kyle Walker, where I agree a lot on Gaetano. We're talking about this a lot. A lot of Milan fans, I was seeing it online too, like kind of undermining Walker. Oh, he's an older guy. What's he gonna do?
Really?
But more than anything, yeah.
I saw
but
the opposite. I
but
saw
more
people
than
happy.
anything, I just feel like he has a winner's mentality, and I feel like Milan forget that sometimes compared to their Scudetto winning season. They play, like Marco was saying, sometimes they have great games, sometimes they don't. But they usually, I did say before the game started, Milan was going to win this game because they do manage to step up to the occasion when
the
it's
game is on the line.
when the game's
And the
when it's a
points,
bigger
important
game,
points, yes.
they usually play. They
Except
usually
against
play
Dinamo.
well.
When
Yeah,
you had to finish in the top 8.
But now someone like an addition like Walker, I feel like he can bring a lot of clarity and especially a lot of clarity to that defense where I feel like Milan has been very discombobulated and all over the place and stuff like that. But yeah, just for the game, basically, it does seem a little bit bitter to Milan fans only because it seemed like the ball just wasn't going to go in for Inter. Yeah, Inter were lucky. You can say Milan weren't lucky. So I guess
No, but we're not lucky. Our goal was beautiful.
I mean, there was so much pressure from Inter. They hit the post a few times, offside goals. There was a lot of pressure. You got to say that. But if the goal came earlier, like in the just second half or the first half. And I feel like Milan fans wouldn't be as bitter. It was just a last minute kind of goal.
He's bitter. I mean, I feel sick on my stomach.
That's what I see.
I was salivating at the idea to see Peter. Peter was sweating bullets over here.
He didn't even show up, and they tied. Imagine if he would have lost.
Listen to me. The guy was sitting over here, and I was right standing behind him. I said, "Rondo, sit down. No. When every time that I sit next to the guy, something goes wrong. So this time I choose to stand behind him. And the guy was sweating bullets. I saw him dripping sweat like nothing. It was like going crazy. I said, hey. I was just cursing at the TV all the time. Come on,
well, it's frustrating for Inter. They had a lot of chances.
Yeah, what chances?
They did.
So what about
They were not goals.
What about it?
Let me tell you something. Those games are played on emotion. Okay? You can be the better team, but just because you are overcharged, it might just counter. It might be a counter.
Case in point, the last 2 derbies before yesterday.
Yes.
Milan won both of them.
Yeah.
The last 2. They were from that. Okay, if we switch from Milan, because I think we said enough, and then we'll talk about the transfer market and some of the decisions that Conte Sal's made that I think are really important, and the way that Milan as a club basically admitted the mistakes that they made over the summer. Let's talk about Inter, which the goal was coming the entire time. I mean, if you were watching that game and you didn't think Inter was going to score, maybe you were not watching closely enough. The goal was coming for a long time. It was a matter of time that Inter was going to get the tie, and they deserved to get the tie for the way that the match was played. Milan, I thought, went too far back, a little bit too early, and you're always asking for too much pressure. I wish they would have played a little bit more, and I actually thought them being up 1-0 would have helped them score the second goal, but to me, they didn't take advantage of the chances, but still getting a tie against Inter is a very good result for Milan. For Inter, I think you could chalk it up to you're not going to win every game. It's a derby. There's so many emotions. It was a game where you created the opportunities. You got in the right spots. The ball didn't want to go in for a lot of times, and a lot of credit to Milan's defending as well. So I don't think it's anything crazy from Inter. I know they're a little bit disappointed, but later on, when Napoli slip up, it pretty much helps them. And they have a very tough February coming up. So I have nothing else to add about Inter. I thought Hakan, you could see that he was struggling big time. They lose this ball. They really played into Milan's hands, losing that ball. That's exactly what Milan are asking for the entire time. And then that left side, I mean, there's nobody in the world that I think could stop that left side when they're running at you with space. Let's talk about the controversial call. The penalty kick, not given. Pavlovic, Thuram running a remarkable run down the field. There's contact from Pavlovic on Thuram's left leg, left calf. Hernandez wins the ball after a slide tackle. The referee doesn't give it. He doesn't go to the VAR monitor. I'm going to say it right now, very clear penalty kick. I don't care that Hernandez gets the ball afterwards. At that speed, with the way that they're running, that sort of contact is enough for a penalty kick, and it should have been given for Inter.
You're not a referee. You're not a referee.
based
Are you? Very obvious.
Are you?
Banto, based on the rules, it should be.
I know. I have seen a lot more games than you did.
So why is it not a penalty?
It's not a penalty because, first of all, both of them were running. The guy did not kick. The guy was running on the ball. He did not really kick. He could have been.
Did he make contact with his leg?
Slightly.
But slightly at that.
Hey, hello, I'm making Mike. I'm making contact
at that
with
speed.
you.
At that speed.
Penalty. Hello, Mike.
At that speed.
Oh, that's a penalty, Mike.
There was a decent.
Why don't you run? Why don't you run right now? I'm just gonna put my foot slightly. You're gonna trip.
Guess what? AC Milan was not given
Hold
a
on,
lot
hold
more
on.
penalty.
Hold on.
Much
Anto,
worse
stop.
than the little contact.
No. We're not talking about that. We're not making a score sheet and saying
The
who got
VAR
this?
saw it
Hold
and
on,
they didn't
hold
give
on,
it.
Hold on. Nobody is saying that Milan is favored, Milan's not favored. That's not it. Doesn't matter what happened later on. We're talking about this specific chance. For me, it's very clear when you watch the image that there is contact and that should be a penalty kick. Regardless if Milan were screwed over in the past, in this game, in tomorrow's game, we're talking about this chance. For me, it's a penalty. For you, it's not a penalty. Mike.
Yeah, to be honest, when I saw that, I was like, they're gonna give that a penalty. That's what I just honestly thought. And
Okay.
It should have been given. It was enough contact. Run in the box like that, Anto. Say what you
What do you
want.
say?
Of course.
You said what you were supposed to say. Okay.
Go ahead.
He wants to repeat it.
So now I'm going to say
Yeah,
what
go
I want to
ahead.
say.
It's a penalty.
It's a clear penalty. it's not as a penalty. It's a clear penalty. The guy hit him from behind.
Yeah,
How can
come
it
on.
be a penalty if you get hit from behind? You're running 100 miles an hour and you get hit from behind. It's a penalty. But what I'm more upset is about the VAR. That's what I'm more upset. Because, okay, you should go and look at it. The VAR should have looked at it and say, hey, referee, can you take a look at this and see if what happened? Because we see contact here. And usually they go and see it. So I'm going to say that the challenge, which I think you support, when one of the coaches can go have a challenge, one in each half, you can go and say, hey, this is a challenge. I want you to go see this. Because why do we have the VAR for? I mean, the most important thing about refereeing is to get the correct call, the right call. That's what it's all about.
That's right.
Try to make the correct call. Now we have some advantage by you go looking in the TV and see if it can help you make the right call, and you don't use it. He could have gone and seen it and then say, well, for me, it's still not a penalty, like it's for you.
Inzaghi actually said he said, I can understand from the referee's perspective to not see it. Things are
of
happening so
course.
quickly. Somebody
can-
can be blocking you.
of
It's
course.
fine. He said, I'm more upset with the guys upstairs who, to be fair, we had a perfect image. We had the most perfect image from behind. It's not one of those cases that
Two
you couldn't
times.
see.
Two
It's a really
angles.
clear, and they should send the referee in that case to go watch it. That's clear. Let's move on.
No,
And,
one more thing that I
no,
want to
and
add.
one more
We're
thing,
talking
one more
about the
thing.
penalty.
No,
Okay.
I say one
Go
more
ahead.
thing. Okay, if this was the other way around,
Oh, boy.
okay, if it was Morata who was kicked from behind, I would say right now it is a penalty.
Has
I
nothing
like
to
It's
do
got
with
nothing
this.
to do
I
with
want to know what Antonio would say
Milan.
if it was other way
It is a
around.
penalty. He got kicked from behind. It's a
Listen,
penalty.
if you look at the build-up the guy had no chance of going through.
That doesn't matter.
Theo Hernandez already on a fraction. We're talking about a fraction. This is why sometimes the VAR is ruining the game. And I applaud Gasperini for bringing this thing here up.
Okay.
To me, the VAR
you make your
is
point.
doing a lot more
We got it, we
damage.
got it, we got
that, and no, you haven't got anything.
We got it.
This thing here, Theo Hernandez clearly moved the ball
boy.
way on the other side.
Okay.
So let me
Alright.
ask you one question, and I shouldn't even follow up. Let's say there's a corner kick, and the goalkeeper, the ball goes to the goalkeeper, but then on the far post, let's say Dumfries punches Theo Hernandez in the face, but the ball's not going to him. Is it a penalty? Yes or no?
You're hypothetical,
Is
and
it-
not even on the
No, but
cartoons
is
you
it-
can play
but
those
is it-
things.
is it a
Those
penalty?
are rules. That's the rules.
Is it a
of the game.
penalty?
Yes.
Okay. So it doesn't matter that for me, it doesn't matter that Theo Hernandez gets the ball after. He's fouled before Theo Hernandez gets the ball. If Theo Hernandez got the ball first, then we have a different discussion.
Let me say
But
something
he
to you,
doesn't.
and I'm going to hand it right here. In Formula 1, 1/10 of a second. No, I'm going to say it. And hey, why don't you finish
Why
up
are we
this?
talking about cars?
That's what I'm saying. This is why we're talking about 1/10 of a second. Theo Hernandez cleared the ball. You are telling me that was more of a 50-50 challenge between Theo Hernandez and Thuram. The fact that he was slightly touched on the backside of his leg, he was not kicked, he was touched. That is not enough for a penalty to be given. And Cristina, she was right.
So, Antonio, we have a new sponsor of the podcast, and it's the FIFA Club World Cup.
Oh, I love that.
Do you know that Inter and Juventus are coming to the United States this summer?
What about Milan?
No Milan.
all right.
It's just Inter and Juventus. We want to be there. We want to be watching these games. Inter is playing on the West Coast, so nice little flight. We'll go and watch the games. And then Juventus is going to play on the East Coast, their 3 matches. And then, God willing, hopefully, in the end, the semifinal and the final will be in MetLife in New Jersey.
Oh, beautiful.
So if one or both of them are here, we'll definitely be there. We want to see you guys come out. There is a link at the top of the description to buy your tickets, because tickets are available right now. We don't know which games we're going to yet. We're going to try to go to as many as we possibly can.
Physically can.
But we want to see you turn up to the games as well, because it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're going to reach out to the Inter Club. The Inter Club is big in New Jersey and in New York. So, in fact, there's a every
party
year.
coming up, right?
There's a
Gaetano?
party coming up. They got like 500 people.
Make sure you send this link.
There we
500
go.
people. Oh, of
We are
course.
advertising right now.
Our
Alto
friend-
belli, spillo, alto belli. You know what spillo means? It's like a
And
pin.
we have our friend Aldo, who's the president. So we're going to reach out to both clubs. And of course, we have the Juventus club in Brooklyn, which we're going to reach out to. And you're talking about the best teams in the world sponsored this podcast, which IFTV, which is very prestigious.
Good. So, guys, make sure
Absolutely.
you get your tickets right now. We also have a little explainer video that we'll play here, and then we'll get back to the podcast.
An Italian team is going to win the Club World Cup. If you didn't know, for the first time ever, 32 of the world's best clubs will battle it out in a World Cup style format, and it's all happening in the United States. So let me explain how it works. It'll be 8 groups of 4 with the top 2 teams from each group advancing. The tournament then follows a single format elimination from the round of 16 to the final. If matches are tied, it goes into extra time, and if necessary, penalty kicks. Italy will be represented by Inter and Juventus with massive matches ahead for both of them. Inter is going to face South American giants River Plate, while Juventus is going to have to go toe-to-toe with Manchester City. And draws are not enough here, Malta. The tournament will take place across some of the biggest stadiums in the USA, making it the most accessible Club World Cup ever for fans worldwide. Inter will play their 3 matches in LA and Seattle, while Juventus will play theirs in Washington, Philadelphia, and Orlando. But here's the best part. The part that I'm most excited for, the semifinal and final are right here in my backyard at MetLife Stadium. So you already know what that means. The boys and I are gonna be there tailgating, having a great time when we get an Italian team, or maybe even 2 competing in that next stages. I'm putting it out there for the good vibes. I really want this to happen. And tickets, they're already on sale, so don't miss your chance to be part of football's next best thing. Use our link in bio. We want to show FIFA that we got the best community in football. And let me know in the comments, who do you think is going to go further? Will it be Inter? Will it be Juventus? And who do you think will win the tournament?
Let's move on to Roma Napoli.
Yes, Mike, right?
A game where Roma benched so many of their starters. They obviously had an important game in the Europa League on Thursday. Game that they needed to qualify and win in, and they did that. So he didn't start Dybala, Dovbyk, Paredes, Pellegrini. Help me out. Who else? I mean,
Dybala.
Dybala. Yeah, I think I mentioned so many players, and I wasn't surprised actually. I pretty much expected it from Ranieri. Napoli get in control, and usually when Napoli score first, they don't lose, and they don't lose on this game. But I believe it was 14 matches when Napoli scored first. They won 13 and they drew 1 prior to this one. So we know how they are in managing moments. And then in the end, I think Roma played a good game. And you could, again, another one, which for me, it was so obvious what was going to happen. It was so obvious that Roma were going to be able to score. They were the ones piling on the pressure. They threw in Dovbyk, they threw in Paredes, they threw in Pellegrini, they threw in Dybala in the 78th minute or something like that. So it was clear that the goal was going to come. Again, if you did not see that was coming, I don't know what you were watching. Roma get the goal. Again, I say rightfully so, because I think Napoli dropped back not too much. They did what they had to do. But Roma at home is a very good team. So I see people freaking out about this result. And I ask myself, don't just look at the Classifica. Don't look at the table and say, oh, Napoli's in first, Roma's in 9th place. Napoli should win this game. That's not how football works. You just beat Atalanta. You just beat Juventus. You can't win every game. They were on 7 wins in a row before this. Roma at home is a very good team. They got 7 wins in 11 coming into this. They're 4th place in the table when they play at home. Away from home, they're a different team. But at home, Roma is not easy to beat.
Yeah, no, this was a tough game. There was definitely a lot of pressure on Roma's side coming, but I did think that Conte's men were just going to do a classic one of those games where they just hold back with 1-0 and really defend out this thing, especially because there was so much on the line ever since, because Milan got the draw with Inter. So this game meant so much. And I really thought they're going to close it through, but the Angelino strike, I don't know if you guys saw it. It was incredible.
When he's got a sub in Mazzocchi, it becomes a little bit tough.
You know, when I have tough time understanding when you said, oh, by the way the game was going, it was almost understood. It was like a forgiven,
Yes.
you know.
You said you've seen a lot more games than me. You didn't feel that was coming? I've watched this game a million times.
It's just episodes. we're too unlucky.
It's not lucky.
An unlucky episode for AC Milan and an unlucky episode for Napoli.
No, I don't agree.
And you know what? I'm not even going to criticize Conte Sao for the sub that he made. I think
We're not
he did
talking
that.
about Milan.
It doesn't matter. We're talking about the same thing. Okay, no, we're talking about the
talking
same
about Roma,
thing.
Napoli.
Roma, Napoli, and AC Milan, because the goals were they came 2 minutes before the end of the game. It's pretty much similar situation. You saw, oh, I can see this was coming. It just was an episode by just luck.
No,
they
it's
wound
not
up
luck.
scoring.
It's pattern recognition. When a team
Salamaker-
is piling on pressure, they're more than likely to score. Are there games where it doesn't happen and the ball doesn't want to go in? Absolutely. But usually, if you're putting yourself in the position to score, that's what happens. And you could see that Napoli. For me, it's, you think Napoli's going to win every game? It's impossible. No team does that.
I would agree with you up to that point, but usually Conte sees so many of these games out. You know what I'm trying to say? I see so many games where it's so tough at
So
that.
you think he could do it every time?
No, not every time. But I just thought it was a classic Conte match. Like, okay, he's gonna grind it out to the last second. But it didn't
I disagreed.
happen.
I thought that Napoli, for sure, in this tough schedule, I didn't think that they were going to win against Atalanta, and I didn't think they were going to win against Juventus. Yeah. Those were the games that surprised me, where I thought we were going to get a tie at least in one of those matches. This was the one that said, okay, here comes the tie. There had to be a tie. And I think if you're a Napoli fan, if you're Antonio Conte, you look at these 3 matches and you say, I'm getting 7 points out of a possible 9 in these 3 games, you would take it. You would be very happy,
Marco,
considering
Riyadh-
how you played the first
Marco,
games.
in Riyadh, we had a similar situation. It worked out on our side, on our favor in Riyadh, because that's what was happening in Riyadh too. We were down 1-0. They wound up 1-1, 2-1.
Do you have a comment about Roma Napoli?
Yes.
Yo, you keep bringing it back to Milan.
We are.
No,
we're
it's not
talking
about-
about the
we're
same
talking about
thing.
Roma
We're
Napoli.
talking about being scored at the last minute and just making the subs to make sure you can bring the game home. Okay, this is what we're
What do you
talking
think about
about.
Roma Napoli?
I thought that Ranieri, even when the game started, I thought, oh, wow, this guy is leaving all these players. But the guy is such a great coach, this Ranieri. You have to give him a lot of credit to this guy, because he had the team on the field, and he was pretty good. He had Cristante in the right position. He did a really, really good job. Then Conte, he found himself winning 1-0, and on the sideline he was going crazy. He was screaming, yelling like he does all the time, and he came very close in pulling this thing out. But in the last play, Angelino, it was all alone on the right side. I mean, you cannot give him that much space. But another game which I enjoyed, I was at Ribalta. The Napoli fans were screaming and yelling in the first end and singing. And some of the things I can say here, what they were singing about Roma. But at the end of the game, they were kind of, there was no celebration. Everybody was like, we were so close to beat Roma that then for them, I think it felt like, they lost the game.
As it should.
Yeah. But
after the match, of course.
Yeah, but for 89 minutes, 91 minutes, it was singing and dancing at the Ribalta with the Napoli fans. It was a great atmosphere.
That's a big positive. Think about it. I mean, think about where Napoli was and the fact that they're upset. But anytime you can see it late. I mean, of course, I saw even Conte, and everybody knows I love Conte. I disagreed with what he said after the match. Oh, Roma celebrated like, I'm pretty sure I heard that Conte said this.
Yes.
They said, oh, Roma celebrated like crazy. Of course, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you play. That shows how big we are. Any team, even Inter, when you score against me, in the last minutes, you're going to celebrate. You're going to be upset when you lose a match. But then in the grand scheme of things, you calm, you take a breath, and you realize, for Napoli, it's impossible to win every match. And for Roma, I give Roma so much credit because I agree with you. I thought the game plan was solid from Ranieri. I thought it made a lot of sense how he had to manage this game. He was upset that he didn't keep it 0-0 probably at halftime. I think that would have been the goal, obviously, and then throw the guys in. But to get a point against Napoli, you should absolutely be happy with this. You lost the last time. That was Ranieri's first game. They lost 1-0. For sure, you should be happy. And we've said it before, but Roma really is turning around. I think he's putting players in the right position. Even Angelino. You remember how many times we watch Angelino play as a center back? The guy's a left back. The guy loves to whip in these crosses and have that freedom. he's such a talented player, and there's really good pieces in this Roma side that Ranieri is the perfect man to get it to click.
Maybe contract extension at the end of the season.
No, he wants to move up.
What do you mean?
He got-
Ranieri.
He's going to be a director.
He wants to move
you're
up.
saying-
He's
okay,
going
yeah,
upstairs,
got you.
Mike. He's going to go upstairs.
He's got to bring Ancelotti. That's his.
He's doing better than I expected in a short amount of time.
I
I'm not gonna
agree.
lie.
I didn't think that he was going to
It
do
was,
Yeah,
a,
you
it was a
did.
hard ship to turn around.
Yeah, I know he was the right man to do this, but I think he's doing even better than what
Okay.
I thought he was gonna.
Fair enough.
He's gonna do.
Let's talk about Juventus. Juventus was down 1-0 to Empoli, 6:30 a.m. game. De Sciglio, this guy's got 2 Serie A goals in his career, and the second one, no celebration. If you're listening on audio, my dad's making the gesture that De Sciglio did to not celebrate against his former team. And then
will.
it took an hour for Juventus to get back into the match, and Kolo Muani, what a signing he's turned out to be. He's got 3 goals in his first 2 Serie A matches. The first one was really good work. Second one, he doesn't know about it, but either way, they all count the same. And then Empoli go down a man. Dusan Vlahovic comes on. He scores a goal that it was an incredible strike. His celebration spoke 1,000 words, even though he did nothing. But he's got 3 other of his teammates in the box, and if he doesn't score this goal, it would have been a nightmare. So he knew what he was doing. He took a big risk, but he was desperate to get a goal. Then Conceição comes in and he scores a goal. My big takeaway from this game is that Thiago Motta needs to stop being stubborn in the fact that he doesn't want Dusan Vlahovic within his squad. I get it. Vlahovic is not the striker that you have in your mind, that you have in Juventus. I get that we don't see training sessions, but I don't care. For me, Dusan Vlahovic is still the best goal scorer for this Juventus. He cannot sit on the bench 4 games in a row, 4 or 5 games in a row, whatever it is. You need to play them together. You need to find a solution until the end of the season. The guy's not outcasted by the squad. They could play together. You don't have to only play Kolo Muani. I actually think that they'll like to play together because Kolo Muani can go out wide. But for me, it's a disgrace to see Vlahovic sit on the bench all these years. You're ruining his transfer value. I don't believe that he's a player that's going to really create these issues. Has he had his moments where we wish that he would have acted better, sometimes with the fans and stuff? Yeah. But I think he's also frustrated, and Juventus need to get everybody clicking. So maybe he's not the ideal player, and you think Kolo Muani is, but I don't care. They have to play together.
So I saw the expression on Motta in the first half. He was sweating. And
Bullets.
he was listening also to the crowd because you're losing 1-0 at home with Empoli. But it was a good turnaround in the second half. This guy, Kolo Muani, I mean, what a great signing. I think he's on a loan, right? He's on a loan. So right now, he has to worry about this year. He has to worry about getting into Champions League. At the end of the year, they figure it out. I mean, they spend a lot of money before the season. So I think if you can save some money, even if he's on a loan, then you'll figure it out. But this guy, he knows. He doesn't do anything for 30 minutes, 35 minutes. He gets 1 ball. You give I mean, he's got to be served better. Even in the previous game, he didn't get that many, balls. But if you give him a nice ball, the guy's gonna put it in. I mean, he's good. He's very good. As far as playing them together, I mean, yesterday they played together. The only thing that I see is what you do with Nico Gonzalez, Conceição, Bangula, and Yildiz. They're all wings.
Yeah.
So if they play with the 2 guys up front, you might have to suffer and leave somebody out.
But Vlahovic can't be the guy to leave out.
Huh?
Vlahovic can't be the guy to leave
Play
out.
4-4-2.
Kolo
Play
Muani could do
4-4-2,
the link-up
Gaetano.
play.
4-4-2.
Kolo Muani could do the link-up play. He could be like a second striker for him.
But the
Or out
guy,
wide.
the guy, it's 2 games. He's never played with this team. He doesn't know the players, and the guy scores 3 goals into it. There's something there that, he knows where to be, even the ball hits him and goes in, but he was there.
Strikers.
So you don't think that they should play? You don't think if
No.
you're going into the next game?
No, I think
would
they
you-
can play together.
If you're going into the next game, you're Motta. Are you sitting Vlahovic on the bench?
I'll play one of them. I either play Vlahovic, and
So who would you play?
and then I can play Kolo Muani or vice versa.
You can't sit Kolo Muani now.
No, he's got to play.
So you
but
bench Vlahovic.
I think for the next game, I would bench Vlahovic because you have 4 wingers. I mean, if you play both of them, then Kolo Muani's got to play a wing. You put them both as center forward.
You can't put him wing.
Huh?
No, I agree with.
You know,
with
Or,
one
or
has to-
behind him, or a little bit behind.
You could put a little bit behind. I mean, I think they could play together. I think anytime you need 2 players up front, they're gonna score goals. I mean, this guy Kolo Muani is gonna score goals. You put him inside, he's gonna score goals.
The biggest thing Juventus is missing.
Vlahovic, I think that now that this guy is there, he's gonna start scoring.
Maybe.
Because he feels.
I
saw him.
Would you sign your house?
I saw him before he went in. He was really. He wanted to go in. I mean, you could tell. You could tell that he was gonna score it.
No one needed a goal more than him.
Yeah.
in 2
No one
pieces.
needed.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Gaetano. I think they could play together, but I don't think they need to both play together. They play in Europe too. What am I saying?
They are.
What I was trying to say is they play in Europe, so one could play one, and they can just switch based on the thing. Right now, maybe Kolo Muani only because he's hot. Yeah, Vlahovic, that was a good goal. But I don't think it's a big reason. I think it's a good problem to have. Juve can rotate, and see what they could do, because it's gonna be hard for Mota to really change the formation up what he's used to, especially because
I disagree with
because
both of you guys so much.
Because with the wingers that they
I
have,
disagree so much.
I feel like the
Has it been
wingers put
working?
so much in the play.
Has what Mota's been doing working? I get that you have one idea. You have a style of play. But within a season, there's a lot of different seasons. There's a lot of different games. Yes, in the beginning, it worked really well. They relied on their defensive ability when Bremer was there. But there's no creativity in the final third. For me, to sit Dusan Vlahovic on the bench,
Yeah, but now
play them together. Find a way to play them together.
But
They
the
have
last
to-
2
why do they
games-
have to play together?
because Vlahovic can score goals and Kolo Muani can score goals. And Juventus' biggest
They
problem
can
is scoring
always You can
goals.
always sub them out.
No,
why not?
Juventus
Why do they
need
have-
goals.
Marco, I
They
think
don't
you're a
have
little
to
bit
play
overhyped
together.
up. You know why? Because you played a stupid team over here, one of those middle to the bottom.
But they didn't start together. I'm saying that they should start together.
Let's see whether this becomes a pattern that when they are together, those guys, they can feed off each other. But right now, I have the tendency to not agree with your dad, but I think he's got a good point right now. Kolo Muani is out right now. He's gonna be the one playing, and then Vlahovic is gonna come in.
Who does Juventus play next? Can you
Como.
double check?
Como, yeah.
Como against Como, you should play Dusan Vlahovic and Kolo Muani.
Both of them?
Against Como, you should play Kolo Muani and Dusan Vlahovic together.
Okay, all right.
You should.
Because it's a small team.
You
I
should.
don't think it's that necessary.
You should. Yes, it is necessary.
sub them
You need your goal
out.
scorers to score goals.
You can
Let them build a relationship. Is it Como? Como.
Yeah, it's Como.
For
But,
me, you put
mean-
Vlahovic on the bench
And who
again.
we playing?
I
think it's
have no
not-
problem having, like I said, they
Empoli,
played yesterday.
okay.
They played together. They both scored, so it's not out of the. But I hate to see you playing with the wings, and you got 4 great wingers that can beat the man and cross the ball, and that's kind of what you want. I'm not saying they cannot play together. They can play together, but maybe with Como, yeah, let them play. But when you get to the Champions League, I don't know if I would keep
But
one
it
of those
hasn't
4
been-
guys
But it
out.
hasn't been working so far. Juventus got
Well,
smacked by Benfica.
Well,
Kolo
Kolo Muani's a
worked,
striker.
though.
Okay,
The
but
last
not
two
against
games-
Benfica.
Well, the whole team.
Not
to
against
be fair-
Benfica. But
to
when
be
did
fair,
it work?
was the
When
whole
did, hold
team
on.
that was
Benfica
When did it
is
work?
not
It
Empoli.
worked against Napoli? He scored a goal.
Yeah, he scored
Okay,
a goal.
but Juventus need to win games. You need to win games. You need both of them together. They lost against Napoli. Yes, he scores
But
a
it's
goal.
more-
He scores a goal that he doesn't. I mean, it's great to be in the right place at the right time, but it's not like he created a million things. They gotta play together for Juventus to win games.
But it was more than the striker at that point, I think. It's not just a sole person.
has to-
exactly.
He has
That's my
to-
point. He
Yeah.
can create the opportunities. He's not just a 9.
But I'm saying those games that they lost, it was their midfield too, their defense too, their
It's a
mentality
final-
too.
The biggest
It's not
problem
just
for
one
Juventus,
factor.
the final third. There's no chances. There's no chances.
One thing that I'll give it to him, Gaetano, and maybe I might be wrong, they both draw a lot of attention. So if Kolo Muani has got the ball, somebody's going to have to double him up. So that's going to leave Vlahovic open and vice versa. So that would be the only factor that I can see them playing side by side.
Maybe it's
On
what
the
Vlahovic
on
needs.
the 3-5-2, that, you just play, put them. right? One next to the other, and then
I would hate to see right now Yildiz or Conceição on the bench.
Yeah.
I wouldn't move Yildiz.
When they they can beat the man. I mean, you will.
I wouldn't move Yildiz.
So
No,
when you put
Yildiz.
No,
the
Yildiz,
guy,
I wouldn't move.
so we
Conceição,
kid-
Conceição, it's
the
okay to
kid
be on the
is,
bench.
I
His
mean-
performances have not been up to
big
par.
mistake.
The kid is fantastic.
I like
Yildiz is.
Conceição too.
I like
I hope.
Conceição
But you
more
can play
than
all
Yildiz.
four of them. You
I
don't
hope
need to choose.
that he doesn't.
Yildiz
because
is great.
Yildiz
formation?
is the guy
they're
can
playing,
become
4-2-3-1.
one of the best players. So I wanted. No, Conceição, because before, he's good. He beats his man. He creates a lot of scompiglio, like a lot of
Superiorità numerica, we call it.
Like trouble in the box, right?
Trouble, because he beats his man, and
Yeah,
then somebody
yeah.
else has to go pick him up, and now he
Exactly.
makes that beautiful cross into the area.
Exactly. He's got to
But
make the crosses.
Yeah,
To
yeah.
Vlahovic.
Yeah, but I'm saying, listen, that's
Or
a
you're saying
good.
Yildiz. Or you're
That's a
saying
good
Yildiz.
problem to have. It's a good
Exactly,
problem to
yeah.
have, and there's enough games. I mean, you playing Champions
split them.
League, you playing Campionato, and you playing Coppa Italia. I mean, there's plenty of games for both of them to play.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
but
for sure.
together again, together. I don't want to see this.
I don't think it has to
Juventus
be.
big problem
It could
up top.
be,
It
it
has
doesn't
not
have to
worked. If we're talking about a well-oiled machine, if we're talking about Juventus that the front four and Bangula, Yildiz, Conceição, that they've been working, okay. Then I sit here and say, okay, no problem. Makes sense. They got this guy, and now it's great. But that's not the case. The case is Juventus is underperforming for the season that they need to be having. So you have to be able to adapt to different situations. That's just my problem. I feel like, and I really rate Thiago Motta. I think he is going to be the future of this team. I think he's going to. But I have some problems when it feels so stubborn and it feels so calculated and rigid. And I know you have your idea and you don't want to waver too much. But I think within a season, with the way that things have gone, and it's not all his fault for sure, but I would like to see this. And again, for me, Como would be a perfect opportunity to play them two together. We're not in the locker room though, so it's very hard to see. Maybe Dusan Vlahovic is coming to training and he's not doing anything. Again, but from an outside perspective, I see that they need to play together, and I think that they can complement each other. Let's talk about the transfer
also
market.
with the Mercato close, I think it will help the clarity from Dusan, because there was also a lot of transfer rumors for him. So now I think he can think more about on the field.
Let's talk about the transfer market. Let's do winners and losers of the transfer market. Why don't we be positive and start with the winners? And I'll toss one out there, and Antonio's already raising his hand. And let's have a discussion about Milan. So Milan, clearly this winter mercato, understood that in June they made big mistakes. Fonseca out the door, Morata to Galatasaray, Calabria fought with the coach. Goodbye. Emerson Royale, if he didn't get injured, goodbye. He would have been gone as well. Pavlovic, for a while they were trying to move him. He stayed, and he looks a little bit better in the last game or two. Chukwueze, goodbye. So many new pieces.
Tomori was supposed to be gone.
Tomori, they accepted a bid, but he rejected to go Tottenham for 30 million. Nobody wants to go to Tottenham anymore. And I think that, surprisingly, a January market, it's hard to really improve your squad. Yet Milan found a way to really improve their squad.
So
Kyle Walker, great signing.
Huge,
We already know, not just from this game, he is a great signing. Now up top, a lot of different changes. We've got Santiago Gimenez from Feyenoord, the team that you're actually playing in Champions League. You signed him for about 35 million. He's a number 9. You needed a number 9. You identified that Morata was not it. He liked to drop in. Tammy, for the good stuff he does, he's very wasteful. We all agree. And now, in the last second, you got Joao Felix as well, another Portuguese
Very interesting.
Attacking player.
Very interesting.
So I will say Milan is a winner of this January market.
And Sotil too,
And
at the last
Sotil.
minute.
So my question for
We got rid of Okafor.
So-
But we had to replace somebody on the left, so we got Sotil. Go
so
ahead,
my
sorry.
question for you
Yes. Yes.
is this a good operational market? Is this a revolutionary market?
I would say this
or
is
is this a desperation market?
A little bit of everything.
It's actually a little. It's all of them.
It's all of the above. Okay, but let me say,
Right?
let me just say this.
I think so.
You would agree.
Yeah, I agree.
This is a move that Cardinale, Redbirds, and all the organization
Not Ibra?
Ibra is part of the organization. They had to make this very, very strong move because it was hinged on either we're going to get blamed if we don't make it into the Champions League. At least this is a gesture. Hey, we moved in January.
Good faith.
We
Good
bought A, B, C,
That's
D,
true.
and E. Okay? And we got rid of the wasteful the bad spending that we did during the summer. To me, I do not agree that Fonseca was not the right one. But anyway,
You're still stuck on that one.
but Chukwueze, I was not high because I saw him doing some decent things, but then a lot of stuff.
Not consistent.
Not the kind of a player
Morata?
that is Milan.
What about Morata?
Morata, I'm a little disappointed because I was expecting a little bit more, but I'm not upset because Morata, he tried, but it's not the type of person that a Conceição can use. Conceição is like a fast running into the middle.
Pressing.
He pressing. You don't want to wait to get the ball and then watch and turn. For a Conceição, you have to be on the run. You have to just outpace everybody and go straight into the net. So for the kind of a signing that they did, I think they did Walker, perfect. Walker, it was the things that to me is going to stop my nightmares.
Okay, next.
Because all the
Next
freaking
one.
defenders that we had, they were a nightmares. Now we have two additional center that we can play at any time. We got Joao and we got the
Pavlovic.
No, Pavlovic he played yesterday, but we got Joao. We have Gabbia, we have Tomori, and we have 4 centers right now
Right.
that we can use. So even
Next.
if Kalulu would have been given away, it would not have been a big loss.
You like Gimenez as well?
I love Gimenez. I haven't seen much about him, but from what I heard,
You like he plays for
he's an
Milan.
AC Milan fan. He plays for us.
But you
He
should-
wanted to
you should-
come.
You got to look at it.
He
And
wanted
that's
to be
enough.
part of the project. And to me, is
Okay.
somebody that is not a lot of the finesse, but when he gets the ball and he turns, he goes straight and he shoots.
From what I've heard, Gimenez is not a creative 9. He's not a 9 that could do it on his own. But if you get him the ball, he could score. He scored a lot of goals in
Yeah.
Champions
He's a
League.
poacher.
He just
Okay.
did it in the last Champions
next,
League match.
it-
And the one knock is for Mexico, for the national team. He doesn't have a great record. He's not in good standing with the coach. There's a lot of different dispute. Having spoken to some of my friends about what that is, if the pressure gets to him, if the coach doesn't appreciate him because of where he played, there's a lot of stuff.
You
Who
guys
knows?
like
We have
stats,
to-
right?
we
Talking
have
about
to
the
be able to
stats,
see.
right? The stat, right? Talking about the stat. The guy scores every 76 minutes. He scores.
Now you like stats.
Okay, but you don't like that.
Now
In
you
the
like
Okay,
that.
next.
You
Talk
got
about the
start,
next
Mike.
player.
Joao Felix.
Joao Felix is the cherry on the cake.
Where you
The
gonna wait,
perfect cherry on the
Where
He's
you
a
gonna-
Milan fan.
Where you gonna put him?
First of all,
Where you gonna put
Joao
him?
Felix
The 10,
is going to
Dad.
be playing right behind
They're
Gimenez.
playing 4-3-3.
Hello.
Where you gonna put
Yeah,
him?
they do
Hello.
4-2-3-1.
Hello.
He's the 10.
That's right.
He's versatile.
He
It's
can either
4-3-3.
play behind.
Hold on a
finger.
second. You got Leao on one side. You got Pulisic on the other side. Where you gonna
He can
put
play
him?
false 9. That guy could play anywhere.
That's right.
I would play him as a
That's
10.
right. He's a 10. Pulisic gets moved to the right. Chukwueze is gone. Pulisic gets moved to the right. Jimenez right there, right in
But
front
they
of the
play
goalie.
4-3-3.
And right
I mean, they
behind.
played both.
Oh, you can
Milan
play
is more
4
built to play a 4-2-3-1.
Okay, but
4-2-3-1.
you have Leao on one side. you have
4-2-3-1.
Pulisic on the other side.
4-2-3-1.
And then Joao Felix.
4-2-3-1.
Right in the middle. Right in between them. And then Gimenez up top.
That's not 4-3-3.
No, it's
but who's it?
4-2-3-1.
Well, maybe he's playing 4-3-3 because he doesn't have the players for 4-2-3-1. Do you think he has the midfield for a 4-3-3 at this point? Because I feel like they're stretched
Well,
thin.
Yeah.
We
Well,
got the
but
only-
they needed a midfielder. That
They needed a midfielder.
that you didn't get. You needed a midfielder.
Actually, we got rid
You
of
got
Benacer.
Sotil, you
I'm
got
a little
this
bit
guy,
upset because Benacer.
But you needed
I thought
a
you
need a
could
holding mid.
yeah,
you
you
used
needed a
holding
midfield. That's what I'm
midfielder.
trying to say because on the 4-3-3, Joao Felix cannot play the middle 3.
No, he needs to play above.
He's got to be
Yeah,
in
it has to be
front-
top. Yeah.
in front
so
of the 3 guys.
Reinders is going to have to be backing up, and
And,
Fofana, the Fofana, they
one
can lose.
question,
Reinders and
the other
Fofana
question
right in front.
About Joao Felix. I love Joao Felix. I
Yeah.
love the guy. I always was a fan of him, but he's changed things. He never seems like to play all the games. He always ends up in the bench and then he
I do
comes
agree.
in and things like that. But the way your style that you're talking about Conceição, that he likes to pressure.
He's not that
He's
player.
not that player that he likes to pressure.
The thing with Felix really quickly is Gaetano's right in that sense. He got sold from a record fee from Benfica. He went to Atletico Madrid. At Atletico, he didn't really break through because he was one that didn't really track back, and Simeone kind of wanted everyone to track back, play as one. And then he went to Chelsea. He had good games, but he was still not very consistent. A lot of times on the bench, he didn't start sometimes.
He's on the bench with a bunch of kids at Chelsea.
So it's strange. I do see a lot. I saw him play at Benfica. He played good over there, but he never really found a footing after leaving Benfica. So this is interesting because Milan, maybe they can find his good spot like they did with Pulisic, but then I can also see him not find his footing like he did in the previous.
Yeah, I don't.
So it's like a wild card.
I'm with Mike. For me, I didn't think it was a profile that Milan needed. I would have preferred if they went after a midfielder.
Yeah.
But then I think to myself,
There could be
Joao
upside.
Felix, maybe
Listen.
if Conceição identified him, which I didn't think that his qualities, he would have went for him. Then I say, okay, maybe let's trust.
Let me add a couple more things to this, what we are just discussing over here.
Please.
What's there that you got to lose? We got Joao Felix, okay? Portuguese, Conceição, Portuguese.
Milan player.
Teammate
Leao.
Milan
of
player,
Leao.
Portuguese.
They play Portuguese. Leao. Joao. Leao. Joao.
Meow.
Meow. Hello. 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 Did you get that? English. All right. So, Portuguese national team. Conceição.
Wait, what language do they speak?
Leao. Huh?
What language do they speak?
Brazilian.
Oh, it was a joke.
Yo.
Brazilian.
You guys, listen, this is the perfect storm, okay?
For sixth place.
This is the perfect
You better beat
storm.
Feyenoord. If you don't beat Feyenoord, if
my
Juventus
God.
don't beat PSV and Milan don't beat Feyenoord, I'm done.
Oh my
I'm done. I'm
God.
not watching Champions League. I'm not watching anything anymore.
The title of the
I'm
next
saying it
episode is
right
gonna be
now.
like, we're done.
Marco,
I'm done.
Marco, let me put it this way to you.
You took their best player.
I
if
told
you can't
you.
beat them, I'm gonna be so pissed off.
I told you for 5 million or a little less than that, 3.5 million. Then with the bonus, we get to 5 million. What is there? What you're
We
gonna
all
nothing
agree.
that you're gonna lose.
But nobody's questioning the deal. We're just
If we
questioning the
didn't
profile
get
if
it,
it's gonna work.
it would be all of this. Oh my God, you had the chance to sign Joao Felix and you didn't
It's a
sign
wild
it.
card. It's a
we
wild
got
card.
it. We got
It's
it.
a wild card.
The
That's
wild
it.
card, and that
Yeah.
is the cherry. That is the cherry.
Hopefully. Let's hope.
Okay.
Let's hope. All right. So we went to the winners. I want to go to the losers. I have
Well,
a-
Fiorentina did I think is a winner too.
Okay.
'Cause they did a.
That's right.
They did some good
Fagioli.
sign.
They got Zaniolo, right?
Fagioli.
Fagioli.
They got Fagioli.
Yeah,
they
they-
also kept Comuzzo.
Yeah, Comuzzo. I thought he was
Big
going
deal.
to Napoli. So
Rocco
they did a
Commisso
good
said he was
job.
not going to sell.
Yeah, they did a good job.
They did a good job.
Zaniolo,
Yeah, we
that-
mentioned
that's right.
Zaniolo.
Another
I don't know,
wild
but
card.
the thing is, Zaniolo. I mean, if
No,
Gasperini
Zaniolo-
couldn't get the most out of Zaniolo,
That's true.
and the fact that he's leaving
Moise
now,
Keane and Zaniolo, it's gonna
I don't like that
it's gonna
together.
stir up a nice goal machines over there.
Am I wrong that them two? I mean, they were younger. Everybody makes mistakes when you're young. But for Italy, when they were both called up together, didn't they both show up late and then Mancini kicked them both off the national team?
Ooh, I didn't know that.
If I'm not
detail.
mistaken.
Yeah, there was something
They have
about
good
them.
chemistry. That's what that means.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Either way,
They were probably part.
they
Well,
have a
they-
lot of young
Who
Italians.
else did they sign, Mike?
What?
Fiorentina. Who else did they sign? There's more than that. There's more than.
Oh, they signed
Fagioli.
another two, three
There's
players.
another midfielder that they signed with Fagioli. I forgot. Well, anyway,
I don't remember.
They got rid of
January.
Guame, one a couple other players.
I think Iconé left.
yes.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, well,
That's
he
a
was
Sotil.
not.
Well, they got Kolo
What do you mean
Muani,
Sotil?
right?
Hey, Sotil,
well, no, they had, yeah.
Sotil is
It's not-
on AC
yeah.
Milan.
And Dur
He's been playing. Endur.
Ndur,
is a,
and Mari from Monza.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
Pablo Mari.
Pablo Mari.
There we go. Bravo.
That's a good one.
Yeah, Florent.
Oh, by the way, we
which
got
he didn't play
Flo-
one game in Naples. He's playing every game.
And he's actually really good.
Yeah.
The first two games that he played, I love Foloroncio.
Yeah.
Forgot to mention Bondo. I seem like a Bondo
Yeah.
too from Monza. I heard he's a very good player.
You
This
heard.
kid here. So,
Okay, so
Okay,
winners.
what do you say?
Winners.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have a winner of the market? I don't.
Como, I don't know if you guys saw, Como signed a lot of, they spent probably one of the, I'll say right now, they spent one of the highest amount than any other Serie A team.
They got money.
The thing
They
is, they
splashed-
got
they
a bunch
splashed
of guys
cash.
that I really can't speak about.
They signed
so.
a Greek too, by the way.
Bad loser of the market.
They got
They kept
Gotta be a winner.
Nico
if
Pass,
he's a Greek.
which I thought he.
They got
So they're
Icon-
going to sell him in the winter?
they got Icon.
No, they were.
I don't know if that's a good-
Dele Alli.
Dele
Another
Alli,
wild
yeah, but
card.
it was-
Another
about
wild
it,
card.
that they were gonna sign.
Dele
They were
Alli.
gonna-
It's not
there you
Dele
go.
Alli. Dele Alli.
How do you know?
I know it.
Okay. I don't really know a lot of the guys that Como signed. Like I haven't watched them play, so
They
I
got
really
a
can't
few
speak.
random-
So you guys bought a bunch of players
Hold on.
too.
We're gonna get to losers. No more winners. We all agree. No more winners of the market. Losers of the market.
Raise your hands.
First up
Raise your hand.
is Juventus. What a disaster of a January transfer market. Giuntoli, I think he was scrambling. He was like a chicken with his head cut off. I'm gonna get this guy. I'm gonna get this guy. No, I'm gonna get him. Then I'm gonna get him. It's like they had no strategy. And I get January is a crazy market, but they looked like a mess.
Yeah.
They got Kolo Muani. Okay, very good. Seems like it worked out. But then in the back, they get Lloyd Kelly. Lloyd Kelly. Never heard of Lloyd Kelly in my entire life. Maybe he's some jewel that Giuntoli's gonna find.
And you spend a lot of money too.
Spent a lot of money, 20 million when they activate it. It's the same amount that they sold Dean Huijsen for in the summer.
Oh my God.
And
The
Huijsen-
same amount for a 19-year-old that now Real Madrid wants him
Huijsen's
because he
amazing
put in a
now.
couple good performances for Bournemouth, very good performances, but gave up on him 19 years old. Yeah, you had to sell because he comes from the youth system and you're gonna make a big profit. But look at what you've done in the transfer market with how much money's wasted. And then you get this Lloyd Kelly, which for me, is he better than Gatti?
We're not
is
sure.
he better than what's already there? Yes, he's another body that helps. But for me, this transfer market from Juventus and from Giuntoli, big disappointment. Big disappointment.
They got this guy Veiga, right?
Veiga.
Veiga.
Renato
He's
Veiga.
what, 20 years old, I think.
He looked good. He looked like he had some
for the
leadership.
first game, playing at with Juventus.
Why did you guys
This-
actually need
this
another
team-
defender, Marco?
This team.
Did you
Then,
guys
then,
actually
then
need
did
it?
did they want to go for? Were you gonna sell Vlahovic? Were you not gonna sell Vlahovic? They were all over the place until the last second, scrambling, making deals. Oh, we're not gonna sell Vlahovic. We're gonna sell.
Oh, Cambiaso too. He was out.
Cambiaso.
He
Oh,
was
we're gonna-
out. He was in. He was out.
Mess of a situation, which it could have been even worse. Actually, it could have been worse if that bid from Manchester City came in and they would not have had anybody to replace Cambiaso, which has already created a problem for me with Cambiaso because the last couple of performances from him have been all over the place. It's not been great. I don't know if it is the market rules
gotta
or
be.
if it's just a little bit of a dip.
It is.
But there's no stability. And I think to myself, what Thiago Motta must have been thinking throughout this entire transfer market. Am I going to lose Cambiaso? Is he gone? Who's going to be the replacement? Oh, I don't talk to the club. The club is the one who's deciding. For me, Giuntoli under a lot of pressure
From who?
at Juventus.
From who?
From Juventus fans.
Wait, whoa. Slow down. Giuntoli and Motta, they talk all the time. Giuntoli does not do anything that will upset Motta
Not
and
true.
vice versa.
Not true.
Relax. Motta is asking him, I want this, and this, and I want to get rid of this and this. But before you get rid of those guys, I want those. Giuntoli could not come through with Motta request. And then they went scrambling to find, some leftover from Kelly and whatever.
When you're direttore sportivo, you have two interests. You want to make your coach happy, but there's no sporting director in the world. Actually, the ones that do this hurt the team, like Manchester United, for example, who Ten Hag, the coach chooses anybody that he wants, and then they get caught buying Anthony for 100 million because the coach wants him, and all these players, and then you switch coaches, and then you get screwed. So he has to have a balance of making a coach happy, but also doing what's in Juventus's best interest in the coming years. That's what a really good sporting director does. And when you look at the moves in June, and now you look at the moves in January, it's hard to justify a lot of them. Maybe we're going to be wrong. Maybe I'm going to be wrong. And maybe Kelly's going to become a great player. Maybe Douglas Luiz is going to justify his transfer fee. But to me, they were trying to sell him for all of January. They were trying to give him away, and nobody wanted to spend the money for him. So I don't think that it can be a positive. For me, Juventus, loser of the January transfer market.
Let me just say one more thing, and I agree with you 100%. You let him Fagioli go, it's going to be a nightmare for the next few months and for the years to come, because Fagioli is the real thing. Pirlo does not guess on players like that. Pirlo said this is the next Pirlo, and Fagioli, I can see Fagioli. Fagioli's got quality.
16 million around, and then Juventus might have a percentage of a future sale. 10% is what they're
Commisso is
saying.
going to make $40 million on this kid. Easy.
I really like
Back to
that.
Juventus.
I'm happy. I'm happy for him that he went though. I'm happy for Fagioli that he
Yeah.
went to Fiorentina because I think ever since Bove's gone down for Fiorentina, they need something. And if Palladino identified him as a player that he wanted, he also preferred Fiorentina than Marseille, which has De Zerbi, and
He stays in
they're
Italy
doing really
too,
well.
so-
So I'm happy. Yeah, and he's another one that I felt like Motta just completely gave up on. Completely gave up on Fagioli.
It seems to me it's a pattern with this Motta. Motta doesn't get, it gets into the heads of Vlahovic. Vlahovic is on the transfer market. It gets into the head of somebody else like a Chiesa, and Chiesa is gone. And now he got into the head of Fagioli. Fagioli wants to run away from there. This guy is not an easy dude, I'm going to tell you. So if the results that do not translate on all the moves and the motion that this guy here is putting in place, I can see this guy here is gone at the end of the season. Forget about it, give him an extra year. This guy here, if he doesn't show up on the first four position on the standing, he's gone. I'm telling you right now.
He's staying no matter what, and Juventus is going to be playing Champions League football next year.
I think we're overreacting a little bit for Juve. Yeah, their Mercato wasn't the best, but I do feel like Motta's going to pull some strings.
But strictly on Mercato. For me, loser.
The thing is, they should have brought a center back that knows the league well, more of a veteran, rather than to take a chance on someone. I found that a little kind of like, what are you doing? But also, I don't know. I never heard of the person, so I can't really judge that.
But they have some of the best. They have one of the best defense on the Serie A. Juventus. What did they need another center back?
They started way on McKennie in the Champions League
That's
matches.
all right.
Gatti's not good enough.
I mean,
Gatti's not good enough, Anto.
No.
Gatti's not good enough.
Okay.
And then this guy here, Kelly's not going to make a big difference anyway.
We don't know him.
That's right.
Other
We don't
loser.
know him because
Other
he hasn't
loser.
done anything.
Other loser of the transfer market, Napoli. Napoli, big loser, and I'm so upset at what they did in the end. You sold Kvara, and okay, you have to sell Kvara. But for me, if you sell Kvara now, you have to have the replacement. There's no guessing. You have to have it lined up, or you say Kvara, you got to stay for 6 months. That's my opinion.
That price was
now,
there.
okay, you have the money. You have the money. All they did was make a mistake after mistake after mistake. And I'm telling you, Antonio Conte is going to be really upset. He's already planted the seeds, and I think he's justifiably upset. You lose Kvara, who's your most creative player. Who did you get? You got Okafor after trying to get Garnacho. Then you wanted to get Adeyemi. Then you wanted to get St. Maximin. And then there were problems with registering him and getting the deal over the line because of the paperwork. Then you tried to get Comuzzo, and you were off by 5 million with Fiorentina or whatever it was.
So give him the extra 5 million.
For me,
Right or wrong, Mike?
For me, De Laurentiis, Manna, they have such a great window of opportunity. They don't realize Napoli are in such a good position to win the Scudetto. They need a little bit of help. Can they do it without the help? Yeah, maybe. But with 2 more signings, they've been having Juan Jesus in the back while Buongiorno's been down. Give him the signings. Spend a little bit of money. Make it happen. And plan accordingly. The fact that they went through all of these guys and didn't have it ready puts you in such a bad position.
I don't know this guy that well, but I think Man United bought him. Is it Dorku or something from Lecce?
Dorku, yeah.
It was
The fullback.
they could have gone
4
there.
million, right?
They wanted 35 million, but they didn't want to spend the money.
35 million. I mean, they sold Kvara for double that amount. I mean, they could have gotten this guy. I saw him play for a few minutes, but if Man United hasn't done too good lately. But this guy had speed.
He's a left wing back.
He's a left. Yeah, he had speed. I think he can beat his man. Maybe defensively, I don't know. How
He has
is,
limitations.
Yeah.
But either way.
But I mean, they could have gotten some along that line. You know, if you don't want to spend 70 million, I mean, that guy, Garnacho, whatever his name, Garnacho, he's not worth 70 million.
But Marco, in all honesty to you, I mean, Kvara wasn't played the last few times that he was around of there. He was coming in and out. He was subbed several times. And then I wanted to just give a little bit to ADL because, the guy
Excuse
said,
me?
I want to say this to you guys. Buongiorno is coming back soon. So they got Buongiorno back. Juan Jesus is not going to be a factor anymore.
risk.
This guy...
Did you know Scamacca came back for Atalanta, and after a couple minutes, he's down injured again.
They rushed
so
him.
you
You
can't
cannot-
bet.
you cannot have the hope that he's
you would
healthy.
So you would risk a season to win a Scudetto by not buying players when you just made 75 million?
But Marco, he tried to buy. It didn't come true. The trade, I'm sure
And
they
that's
tried.
a mistake.
A mistake.
They were doing it into the last day.
Yeah,
into
it's
the
not
last
good.
day, you didn't have a center back lined up.
The thing is, I feel like we've talked about a lot about this with ADL and money. We've also talked about this in previous seasons where he was a little bit too stingy to splurge a little bit more. I feel like he hopes too much that all the stars to align. And the realistic thing is, yeah, maybe they could do it, but if you get an injury, one of your wingers, you're like begging to.
Yes.
You're shooting yourself in the foot there.
I think you are trying to find an alibi for Conte to have an excuse that if they lose, if they don't win first place, they said, "Oh, you see, he didn't spend the money that they sold Kvara." Am I right or wrong? Just say it.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
So
But
I
no,
know,
no.
I know
It would
what's
be-
on your
it is
head.
an
Because
excuse
it
for
is
Ronaldo.
because he did this much, he got you to this point,
Yeah.
and he just needs. I mean, you can't sell. What team in the world, what serious team that fights for a Scudetto sells their most important player and doesn't replace
Yeah,
him?
it's no good.
You got Okafor. Okay, if he makes Okafor into a great player, Mike, I'm gonna. I already said crazy
Okafor
stuff
is
about
not a bad
Conte.
player.
You know, he
But
got
he's
got
not.
lucky with Neres. I mean, this guy Neres, I like him. He's a good young player. He got lucky with that guy.
Yeah, but the backup for that is
nothing.
not
not that good.
I mean,
What are you talking about?
I mean-
Okafor is not a bad player. He's a Swiss
Politano-
national player.
Politano is doing good, and Neres, but if one of, like you said, if
An
one of them
injury,
gets hurt, what do you
yeah.
do?
My thing
Then you're
is,
done.
My thing is,
If the wings,
planning.
one of them gets hurt,
That's what I'm saying.
Napoli's
It's
done.
over.
That's
It's
what
over.
I'm saying.
because
It's
tha-
over.
that's
You threw
the
a season
play.
away.
That's the play.
That's why ADL
That's play is going down the
without is
wing, beating the
strange.
man crossing the ball.
I'm upset. I'm upset because I think they have a really good thing. Maybe they're going to go on and do it. I'm not saying that they can't go on and do it. What I'm saying is it would have made things. It just seems logical. You got more points than you had last season at this point. Then the entire year you have more points now.
Yeah, spend a couple bucks.
But also, if you know Kvara's got a problem, why don't you find that? Why don't you buy a guy before it's all out in the open, before everything explodes? You get a guy, and then everyone's like, "Wow, look at Napoli, they're pushing for," and then you could sell Kvara. How do you not have it identified? How do you not have the plan in place for me? And then you have 7 different players, and you never identify one. Everybody knows I really want Napoli to win this year, so I feel even more passionate about why you should have invested.
Just
and
common
I kept,
sense, really,
And I kept
more than
waiting. I
anything.
said, you know what? In the end, they're gonna do it. They're gonna get Comuzzo.
For
Because if
2
they got
weeks-
Comuzzo, I would have been so happy.
Marco, for 2 weeks, the rumor was Garnacho was almost done with Napoli. Garnacho, hey, big
But you
time,
need a
big
plan
time,
B.
Big time, big time. Yeah, I guess it didn't materialize. So what went wrong over there?
So if you have, let's say Garnacho is your primary target, right? Let's say yes. And then you say, Adeyemi is my second. Adeyemi should be done. It should be, if we're not getting Garnacho by
That's
this
it,
day,
sign him.
tomorrow, Adeyemi is signed. That's it. It's all agreed. All the things are in place. If we don't get Garnacho, we're going to get Adeyemi. And then he's not going to do it. I don't know. Maybe I'm completely off and I'm missing
They look
something.
unorganized.
But I don't like that. And I
it
think
looks
Mana's a
bad.
very young sporting director. I think that he could have a very good career. He clearly chose an amazing coach. He got some great players. Like you said, Neres, having Neres in the roster was something very smart. But I feel like we're going to look back at today and say they should have done more.
But Marco, you are saying that the last few words were the perfect words. Said we are going to look back. Conte doesn't seem to be that upset about it.
Oh, he's going to be upset.
What do you mean?
Listen, so far he hasn't come publicly saying
What's
that.
he gonna say?
What is he gonna say?
Gonna start a whole ruckus?
I mean, he
He's
did.
not
come
guy.
on.
This guy is not afraid of ADL just because he's getting paid by ADL.
We're going to wake up tomorrow. It's gonna-
Conte is
is
gonna say
it-
what is on his head,
Listen,
regardless.
right now, it's in the middle of the season. You're in first place.
Yeah, they're first. Yeah, they're not gonna. He's not gonna
You
start.
know, he's
unnecessary
going to try to
drama.
win the championship, but at the end of the season,
He's upset.
you'll
It's
hear
a miracle if they do it.
you'll
I'm
hear
sure
It's a
it.
miracle.
he was definitely upset in the back, even if he
Of
doesn't say it in the
course,
back of his
of
head.
course.
Just because he doesn't say it.
You
doesn't mean
got to
anything.
play like Roada, and you lose him, and you.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
All right. We good? Anything
Fiorentina
else?
did well. I mean, they managed to win.
I was gonna say Lazio is another loser
Yeah.
of the transfer market. I wanted to say,
They pulled in a midfielder at the end from Verona.
but Baroni's doing such great. Like ADL, I feel like it's similar. Napoli and Lazio, I feel like they're too cheap when they shouldn't be. Because if they spend a little bit more, their dividends will be so much greater.
They must
at the
have
end
some
of the day.
Greek background.
Look what Baroni's doing. No, I'm just saying because they're having such an amazing first in Europa League, and you're not
I
getting
hear
some
you. I
real-
agree with you.
Come on,
Mike, I
do
agree
some-
with you.
Splash some cash.
I agree with you.
Look at the game that they played against Fiorentina. I mean, they can rotate. There's nobody. Guendouzi's the only guy in the midfield at one point. I have no disagreements.
Everyone wants
I have
them
no
to do
disagreement.
miracles with nothing.
But
Give
Marco-
them
It's
something.
insane. It's
First
insane.
in
But
Europa
Marco-
League, give the guy something.
Marcus,
man.
many
Doing so
times
good.
buying the big name just for the sake
No,
of
big- it doesn't have to
making
be big names, Santo.
noise on the market. Oh, we signed this. It might not be the players that they they're gonna benefit them from doing much better than what they're doing already.
But usually,
now.
January, it's opportunities. You got to look for opportunities and say, oh, can this guy fit in? Like Rashford, for example. Rashford was an opportunity. It's this guy's outcasted. All right, can you bring him in? So you need to find and identify, but you need to start working on these things early. That's my biggest problem, is just the planning aspect. That's why I'm upset with Juventus and I'm upset with Napoli, because it feels like they were all over the place. And I get that it's a crazy market, but I still think they could have had their targets in order a lot better than what they did.
You think
like
that-
Milan, for example, they had him. They know they made a mistake, and yes, we could talk about how bad the mistakes were that they made, but they had a clear plan. You knew exactly what they were going to go for. Maybe this didn't work. Okay, we got this guy. If we don't get him, we have this guy. And it's done. It's done.
It's poor planning.
We know who's with us. Oh, Morata's not with us? You're gone. Calabria, you're not with us? You're gone. This guy's not with us? You're gone. I don't see that in these other teams. So,
Thank God they kept Kamara. That's the only thing I was afraid. I said, please don't give up the kid.
I thought he was gone.
Oh,
Let's
God.
see. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, and we will talk to you soon. Ciao ragazzi.